A single night in January 2024 rewrote Philadelphia's reputation. Outreach teams fanned through Center City, the airport, and the drug-ravaged blocks of Kensington. By dawn, they had tallied 976 people sleeping outdoors, 38% more than the year before, enough to overflow the Academy of Music twice. Factor in the 4,215 people already crammed into shelters, and suddenly, America's birthplace of liberty was wrestling with more than 5,100 neighbors who had nowhere to turn. But those numbers weren't the headline. The real shock came later, when analysts confirmed homelessness across the city shot up another 10% in 2024, the biggest spike since the pandemic. Philadelphia's simmering crisis had boiled over. Yet statistics are only the prologue. The real story starts on one battered avenue. Walk 3 blocks from Independence Hall, and you'll hit tents. Center City logged 347 unsheltered residents in the latest count, while Kensington registered 337, together making up more than half of the citywide street population. On paper, the city spends $88 million a year on homeless services, nearly as much as its earmarks for parks, libraries, and cultural affairs combined. Yet the sidewalk census keeps swelling, and almost half of Philly renters now sink over 30% of their paychecks into housing. No neighborhood showcases the contradiction quite like Kensington. Once a proud manufacturing hub, Kensington is now the epicenter of the nation's most infamous open-air drug market. In May 2024, Mayor Sherrell Parker rolled out steel barricades, police escorts, and a 34-day resolution to clear tents along a 2-block stretch. 59 people accepted shelter or treatment. Dozens more scattered deeper into side streets. The crackdown followed an April federal ruling that slammed the door, again, on Safe House, the nonprofit fighting to open America's first sanctioned safe injection site. Harm reduction advocates called the decision a death sentence. City leaders countered that federal law leaves them no wiggle room. Meanwhile, the opioid crisis keeps fueling homelessness. Surveys show roughly 70% of Kensington's street sleepers battle substance use, mostly fentanyl. Dre, a former drummer who once opened for The Roots, now spends nights under the L, nursing wounds that refuse to heal after countless ODs. "I don't plan tomorrow," he says. "I plan the next hour." But addiction isn't Kensington's only tragedy. It's Philadelphia's children. Inside the school district of Philadelphia's files, 7,481 students carried the label homeless last year, 1 out of every 25 kids. They aren't all in tents. Many double up with relatives or crash in hotel rooms funded week to week. For them, homework competes with hunger, and truancy soars. Teachers report that homeless students score lower on state exams and are twice as likely to be suspended. Family shelters remain scarce. Only 12% of the city's beds serve parents with children, forcing moms like Maya to choose between a crowded mat floor and a subway bench. Maya walks her 8-year-old son 2 miles to school every morning, hiding the suitcase that holds their lives behind the playground fence. "He still thinks we're visiting," she confesses. How does a city this historic end up here? Follow the money and the math. Housing costs provide the first shove. Average rents in Philadelphia have climbed roughly 30% since 2015, while wages barely budged. A single broken transmission can start the downward slide. When landlords file for eviction, over 10,000 notices a year, families scramble. The city's eviction diversion program has mediated disputes and pumped emergency cash into 11,000 landlord-tenant pairs, driving filings 40% below pre-pandemic highs, yet the pipeline keeps refilling. Layer on trauma. Drug overdoses killed 1,100 Philadelphians in 2024, the city's third leading cause of death. 40% of unsheltered residents screen positive for depression or PTSD, but mental health slots remain chronically full. By the time frustrations spill onto the sidewalk, the safety net has already snapped. City Hall says help is coming, at a steep price. Mayor Parker's FY25 budget funnels $88.7 million into homeless services, but her signature move is the $100 million Riverview Wellness Village in Holmesburg. Phase 1 opened in January 2025 with 336 treatment beds, workforce classes, and art therapy. Parker calls it a path to self-sufficiency. Critics counter that she simultaneously nixed tiny home pilots and needle exchanges, tools other cities credit for getting people indoors. Political tensions flare. Business owners cheer encampment sweeps. Harm reduction lawyers warn of arrest and abandon cycles. Safe House's legal defeat keeps supervised use facilities in limbo, while federal dollars hang on compliance with drug laws. In the middle stand thousands like Dre, waiting for a bed. Amid the stalemate, grassroots groups hack together their own fixes. Technology first. A new city app pings outreach teams when shelter beds open and has steered 600 people indoors since launch. Community power. Philly Restart volunteers handed out 10,000 hygiene kits and funneled 300 residents into job training tracks last year. No government mandate, just neighbors showing up. Vacant land play. Graduates of the Minority Developer Program are converting abandoned lots into starter homes, aiming to add hundreds of affordable units while building generational wealth for local builders. Micro-housing trend. Tiny studios, under 400 square feet, now rent for half the city average, giving single adults a realistic off-ramp from shelters. Pilot clusters in West Kensington lease out in days. Each idea chips at the mountain, yet funding gaps remain. Which brings us back to you, because policy alone won't close a 5,000-person void. Philadelphia calls itself the city of brotherly love, but love is a verb. Tonight, more than 5,000 of our neighbors will bed down in shelters, subway stations, or under the Market Frankfurt L. The crisis is sprawling, but not insurmountable. Volunteer for one evening at a meal line. Donate spare coats, batteries, or a Metro Pass. Email council members about scaling eviction mediation and treatment beds. Share stories that humanize, not stigmatize, those on the margin. Because every time a Maya finds a permanent lease, every time a veteran like Dre trades an OD risk for a drum set, Philadelphia inches closer to the city it claims to be. So, what part will you play? Hit subscribe, drop a comment on the solutions you champion, and keep watching the News Plug as we track every step from sidewalk to stability. The next chapter starts with the click you make right now.